What's up? What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel, Sports, Life, and Politics TV. I'm Samuel Koppel, YouTube's #1 couch detective, and I'm for the news. And here this past weekend was the Juneteenth holiday. Now, it amazes me that this has become a national holiday because anybody who knows anything about history knows this is strictly a Texas holiday. Now, as a person who's traveled from coast to coast, I know for a fact 5-6 years ago, no black people across America outside of the great state of Texas was celebrating Juneteenth. Should you be celebrating Juneteenth? It's understandable for Texans, but for people in California, I don't get it. For people in Florida, I don't get it. Milwaukee, it's confusing. A lot of people who come out of Texas, even they don't know the history of Juneteenth, but we grew up celebrating and understanding it. But for those of y'all who don't know, Juneteenth is a holiday that started in Galveston when the last of the people who were enslaved were told they were no longer enslaved. That was in 1865. Now, the emancipation happened in 1863. 1865, they found out in Texas. June 19th, obviously, which is Juneteenth. Now, the thing is about that, even within that, there's a lot of misnomers. A lot of people in Texas think that black people, so-called African Americans, are actually from Africa, and we are not. Most Negroes out of Texas aren't from Africa at all. Don't have any lineage towards Africans. We don't have no kinship with them people, and we don't have no ties with Africa whatsoever. When Africans started coming to Texas, there was no fellowship. There was no kinship, and we don't feel like we're brethren whatsoever. But in this video, I'm gonna go over a couple clips and kind of show you and give you a glimpse that most Negroes out of Texas are what you would call, quote unquote, Indians/Native Americans. Now you might say, no, that's the Mongoloid. That's the shit we grew up in watching, the cowboys and Indians. That's the bullshit history they taught us. Are there Mongoloid Native Americans? Absolutely. But there were so many black Native American tribes that they said went extinct that never did. They were just black people, quote unquote. If you think they were bringing slaves from Africa all the way to Texas, you're out of your goddamn mind. That's not even financially feasible. How in the hell do you even think the slave would even make it that far without dying? That's a long track and a long journey. And why would you do that when you can just enslave a tribe right across the way? That's what was happening. Even in the islands, yes, there were some slaves who came from Africa, but most of them went to the Caribbeans or they went to South America. America was full of native tribes. Those were the people, they were the majority of the people getting enslaved were Native Americans. If you Google Native American slavery, you will see so much history on that. And I'm talking about actual books, not just Google. I'm talking about the books you can find, you can actually go read and learn about the real history. Now, in Galveston, there was what was the name of the tribe? The Kawakawa tribe. That's as K as in kite, A as in apple, R as in run. A as in apple, R as in run, K as in kite, A as in apple, R, A. And these tribes were black tribes. That's a fact. And they also had what's the name of the other tribe? I'm sorry. Some of the Indian names are hard to pronounce. It's like the Atacapa tribe, like the Atacapa tribe of Galveston. And these were black tribes. And I'm going to go over these little pictures. I don't want to get copyrighted, but I'm going to go over these quick clips. And as you can see, let me go to one of these clips where he shows the actual picture of some of these tribes. And as you can see, this is the actual tribe, the Atacapas. Now you might say that's not really, that's just a photo, but this is from an actual book of the Lake Charles Atacapas. We know Lake Charles and Houston are pretty close to one another, but that's part of that. And we can get a description of what these people look like. And they say they were dark skinned with dirty, short, coarse, black matted hair. Their bodies were stout, stature short, heads large size placed in between their shoulders, ears very large, and mouths and cheekbones and nose prominent. Now, you might say, well, that's just him. But now we're going to go to an actual picture of the actual chief of the tribe. Let's take a look at the chief. And this is Chief Michael Amos of the Atacapa tribe of America. Now, as you can see, he's extremely dark-skinned. He has Negro hair. He has big nose, big ears, just like they described. There were a lot of black tribes that were right here, whether it be New Orleans, whether it be Florida. You had the Maroons, the Seminoles, extremely dark tribes. Even when Christopher Columbus came to the island, the first thing he said, he seen black people, quote unquote, Negroes. That's why I use the term Negroes a lot, because we damn sure ain't African American. We don't have no connection to Africa. If you're a Negro and you watch this, you don't have no connection to Africa, but this is the chief. Look, this is Chief Michael Amos. Big lip, big nose. Look like he could be your uncle from back in the 80s. But they lied to us. But I'm going to go to this clip of these holidays being celebrated around the United States of America. Now, like I said before, a lot of these celebrations around America, I don't understand. How you just gonna start celebrating some shit 5-6 years ago? Really, 3 years ago. People really just started celebrating Juneteenth outside of Texas 3 years ago. 4 tops. But it's a Galveston holiday, a city out of Galveston. And if you don't know the history of Galveston, by 1865, Galveston was the second richest city in America. It was known as the, what's that called? I forgot the name of it, but it was known as like the second richest city, the stock of the South. I forgot the name of it, but it's like a major name that they named it because Galveston was making so much money. But it was a lot of black tribes down there, and unbeknownst to a lot of people in the history of Galveston and where this comes from and who we actually are, is unbeknownst to nigga. They think we really African Americans. Look, they were celebrating this in Los Angeles. They ain't been celebrating this shit in LA, nowhere else, Portland. This is some new shit. I don't understand it.
Juneteenth celebrations underway across the country tonight. The newest federal holiday marks when the last enslaved people in the U.S. learned that they were free. This event you're looking at here at Leimert Park, expected to go until 9 o'clock tonight. Fox 7's Christy Fajardo is there.
With 3 stages, dark food, rainbow-haired horses, and even a pyramid, Leimert Park celebrates Juneteenth. And now that it's a national and city holiday, crowds pack the festival without having to take the day off.
It's a beautiful day, and I'm just very grateful to be a part of it.
About time.
And as you can see, the reason why it really has me up and on is all these African colors. What the fuck does that mean? Even if you was from Africa, Africa is so many different countries with different customs and different cultures. You just got on this plain African shirt, so you just from the whole continent? No, you're not from Africa. And wearing these dumbass African colors is driving me nuts. We are not Africans. We have no kinship with them people. Zero. Just because they share the same skin tone as you don't mean that that's them as your people. Hawaiians don't like to be called Samoans, and Samoans don't like to be called Hawaiians, even though they look pretty damn similar. That don't mean they can't get along, but I'm saying, like, just because you a Korean and just because you a Chinese and from the outside looking in, we say they look alike, or you say somewhere in Thailand and the Philippines look alike. That don't mean nothing to them. They're their own culture, their own people. We the only people who latch on to shit that doesn't matter, and it's really not us. That's not us. Black, red, and yellow. That ain't who is that connected to exactly?
You know, we went through a lot. We have, and everybody talks about you need to get over it, but the things that we have been through, no way.
Janet.
You said we need to get over it. People saying that you need to just get over it. You damn right you got to get over it. Whatever your trauma is in your past in your life, you have to find a way to get over that. You can't hang on to that shit forever. You can't hang on to slavery forever. Even though when you dig back in the history books, there's a lot of black slave owners too. See, this is a lot of shit they don't teach you in school. All of the land that black people own, all of the places that black people, cities and towns that we founded, that they quote unquote said flooded out, or was washed out, or was destroyed, or firebombed. But we built a lot in this country because we're from this country. That's why we have such an attachment to this place. We're not from Africa. In slavery, we do have to find a way to get over the trauma of what they told us slavery was, because we don't even know exactly what slavery was. We don't even know who was who other than what they told us. When you actually go back in the history books, like I said, look up black slave owners. They have whole books of actual catalogs of people in Charlotte, in North Carolina, in Carolina, and all these different places who were major slave owners and holders. So it's a lot of stuff we have to learn and get an understanding of.
Here's a shirt commemorating the date back in 1865 that slaves in Texas were finally freed, 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. Wyatt Carter,
My dad's grandparents are from Galveston, Texas.
Well, she know a little bit about her history. So her grandparents was from Galveston. But 99% of the Negroes who are out there, they don't understand that shit. They don't know none of the history. They don't know anything about any of that shit. They just told them niggas 5-6 years ago, hey, Juneteenth was the last slave. Then they just started celebrating that shit. I grew up as a kid. I remember in Texas, they celebrated Juneteenth. But it wasn't like the end all be all. We just thought it was a Texas holiday. Never in no Texas niggas' wildest dreams, we thought this would be a national holiday, because it's not a national holiday. It's a Texas only holiday. And you shouldn't jump behind every single holiday, especially if you're not learning and knowing and trying to get an understanding of the history. That means you can be led astray at any moment. And we know Negroes are the easiest to lead astray.
grew up celebrating what is also known as America's second Independence Day.
Today just means like a lot to me. It's like overwhelming, but like a good emotional, like happy.
That's why she's especially grateful to be promoting her brand Conquer Queen in a stall next to her sister's hang-up boutique.
I mean, that sister was, she was kind of stacked up, wasn't she? Oh, look at that.
A good emotional, like happy.
That's why she's especially grateful to be promoting her brand Conquer Queen in a stall next to her sister's.
Yeah, sister kind of ran a little bit. You know what I mean? Happy Juneteenth to her.
Hang-up boutique.
Fancy fresh, this is my line.
Both entrepreneurs chosen to be among the 300 Black-owned businesses featured at the festival.
And look, that's a good thing that they out there with Black-owned businesses, but we shouldn't need a festival. You damn sure shouldn't need Juneteenth to come out and support one another. We should be able to support each other no matter what. That's the Negro's biggest problem. We looking for a reason to support one another when we shouldn't have to. Giraffes support giraffes. Koreans support Koreans. Ants support ants. The only motherfuckers don't support is a person of the same kind as the Negro. That's sad.
It is very, very important. This is my first year. I tried to get in last year and I didn't make it in. So I got selected this year.
And I'm sorry, I just thought about that's the name of it, the Stock Exchange of the South. They should have, that was known as like, you know, they have the Stock Exchange in New York. You know what I mean? And that was known as the South. I couldn't think of that shit earlier for nothing.
It's a really, really great opportunity.
For block after block, Black excellence is on display. At the Loved by Christian Ford booth, the creator believes the celebration will drum up new possibilities for people.
He had turned himself into some kind of goddamn African. Like I keep telling y'all, maybe he is African, I don't know, but I know the average Negro in America is not African. I definitely know most of the Negroes out of Texas most definitely are African. They wasn't bringing slaves, I'm sorry, from the east coast of Africa all the way, from the west coast of Africa all the way to Texas. There's no way, it's just not financially feasible. It makes no sense. When you understand money and how money works, and you understand investing, and you understand the risk of the investment, you realize very quickly that that slavery shit, that narrative that they was telling us, that they was riding them boats across the Atlantic back and forth with thousands of people on with 500-600 people per boat, they wasn't doing it like that, y'all. South America, yes, because you have a current that takes you straight to South America and you don't really have to do much. But all the way through the Gulf of Mexico, all the way through across the Atlantic, through the Gulf of Mexico to Texas, that shit wasn't happening, y'all. Just wasn't. They was enslaving Native Americans, and believe it or not, you 99 times out of 10 are part of a Native American / Indian tribe. That's why when we grew up, it was a saying in most black families, you got Indian in your family. Or your hair was good, you got Indian in your hair. You got Indian hair, you got Indian in your family. That's something that was like a running joke to us, not knowing that was really an oral history.
Generations.
But sparks them to do something like this later on and become entrepreneurs themselves.
According to organizers, Juneteenth has been celebrated here in Leimert Park Village for 40 years. But back in 2018, a group of creatives got together and put on what you see here, this very large festival. And we've seen people from multiple generations, families all coming out, having a good time, and celebrating freedom and the holiday. In Leimert Park, Chrissy Fajardo, Fox 11 News.
And there ain't nothing wrong getting together, but every holiday ain't your holiday. And you shouldn't be easily led astray. You should learn history before you just start jumping onto these holidays. I'm a person who I'm from Texas. I've lived in California. I've lived in Portland, Oregon. I've been to Florida hella times. I've been around, and I've never seen nobody celebrating Juneteenth. How the hell it became a national holiday is unbeknownst to me. And as you can see, Juneteenth, mass shooting. Now they blaming some shit out of Galveston. That's some shit that happened in Milwaukee. Now it'll be an excuse to down Juneteenth. Unbelievable. Only on Sports, Life, and Politics TV. But I'm Samuel Koppel. I'm in for the news. Hit that like. Hit that subscribe. I just took your ass. If you ain't out of Texas, you should be celebrating Juneteenth. Ride.